What is up, guys? We are back for round 10 of the Japan Championships, aka Japan Nationals. We have, it looks like, an Arceus mirror here. I am, of course, the NinjaNick333 as always. We have the player on the right going first, attaching a grass energy, so this is more than likely Arceus Giratina. Although, and the opponent has a psychic energy in hand, so this must be an Arceus Giratina mirror if I had to suspect. Looks like that might be an Arceus, a Giratina V-Star in hand as well. So really going to be looking for a double turbo energy this turn. The player on the right did get all that they needed for the turn, which was just an energy. That's all you need going first as an Arceus deck. Unless you're against Mew, then you probably want to get an additional Pokemon out just in case they're playing the Fusion Strike package and they can one-shot you. But anyway, gonna research away an Arceus V-Star. Feels pretty bad. Gonna put down a Bidoof, which is great. That is the good Bidoof with the Carefree Countenance. Actually, you know what? That makes me think. I ordered Carefree Countenance Bidoofs on TCG Player like 2 months ago, and I still haven't gotten them in the mail. TCG Player has been very unreliable recently. Not the site itself, just the people selling on it. I feel like I have not been getting my cards. Like, it'll take me like 2 weeks to get stuff in the mail. It should take no more than a week to get anything in the mail. We're not in peak COVID season anymore. There's no delays in postage. People are just lazy. And they're just not putting things in the mailbox. And if they do, they're just slapping a stamp on it and not putting a tracking number on it. Which I guess would be fair for Bidoofs, because they're literally like a 5-cent card. But anyway, we get a second Arceus here down off of what I believe was an Ultra Ball, getting rid of a Path to the Peak. We do have a Path to the Peak in play. So unfortunately did not get the double turbo on the left player's side on this previous turn. At least got an energy, which is what you want to see. A double turbo would have been better because you could have gotten a Trinity Charge off. And we are going to see an Iono here is going to shuffle both players' hands onto the bottom of the deck. And then they're going to draw cards equal to their prize cards. So the player on the left looks like they had a 3-card hand. They're going to have a fresh 6-card hand now. Another downside of playing cards like Iono and N is that you can always Iono your opponent up in cards. We are going to see another Ultra Ball here is going to discard a Squawkabilly EX that can only be used on the first turn of the game to discard your hand and draw 6. So perfectly utilized by being put into the discard pile here. All we need is a double turbo now, and we will be able to use Trinity Nova. But because of the fact that Path to the Peak is in play, we are not able to use Starbirth, because that is not only is it a V-Star power, but it's also an ability. So all abilities of Rule Box Pokemon are shut off by that. So they are going for another attach for turn of a Grass Energy and just passing. If you did not evolve the active, you would have been able to Trinity Charge yourself this turn. So it's a little bit of a, do you evolve into the Arceus V-Star before the Iono or not? So you always have to like go for it. You always have to go balls for the walls. You always got to risk it for the biscuit, as they say. So she definitely made the correct play in evolving. It's just very unfortunate that she was not able to see the double turbo. So now the player on the left is in full control. It's almost as if they went first because their Path to the Peak stuck for the turn that it needed to, and the opponent was not able to attack. You even have the Bidoof on your bench, so you can Ultra Ball for the Bibarel this turn. This player not playing those super cool alt arts that a lot of these Japanese players we have been seeing have been playing. But of course, as I always like to say, the playing alt arts makes you a better player. Playing those gold cards shows the fact that you are a skilled player, which is a joke that I always like to say, because they're just more expensive. And I know Scott is watching, and Scott likes to play. My buddy Scott likes to play his shiny cards. So he's gonna watch this one, and he's gonna get a kick out of me just saying it. Replaces his own stadium with the Lost City so he can use his own V-Star power. I completely disagree with that. I think that you should have kept the Path to the Peak in play, because now your opponent can use their Starbirth, and you didn't need to use Starbirth this turn. Oh, actually, no, they don't have a double turbo yet. I just realized it. That's a tool card on there, not a double turbo. So they do need the energy card. So that is correct. You want to take the Path to the Peak out of play so you can attack this turn. I mean, you have gotten your use out of it. You prevented your opponent from attacking for a turn. They're also highlighting on the stream the Box of Disasters. That shows if you're... that is on the Arceus V that's on the bench for the player on the right. For those who don't know what that card does, that's an Giratina count, or that's a Gardevoir counter. It says if your Pokemon would be knocked out from full HP, put 8 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. So that would knock out a Shining Arcana Gardevoir or a Zacian V, because they have to put enough damage counters on themselves in order to put enough energy on themselves in order to take a one-shot in something like an Arceus V-Star. So the Box of Disaster will revenge KO, and so they'll take 2 prize cards, but you will take 1, and then you'll be able to attack something fresh that your opponent is forced to put up. So you could always get like a Boss's Orders knockout of Curlia, or maybe another single prize Gardevoir, and you're just pretty much off to the races there. So playing 1 Box of Disaster in your deck can swing a Gardevoir matchup for you if you are playing Arceus V-Star. But it's really hard to fit that in the deck, and it looks like the player on the left is playing it as well, because they have that in their hand. So that must be the tech of the weekend here for this tournament. I'm very surprised to see it. I think it is better to just not play it, maybe play... I think it's better to play the Cleansing Gloves, so that your Giratina V-Star can one-shot a Gardevoir EX. I think that that's a little bit more of a consistent option, because your opponent could always two-shot your Arceus to get around that. They could always, like, load up a Zacian V with 3 energies. They could bench it first turn, use attach for turn, use the ability, and then the next turn they attach for turn, hit you for 150. Then you hit them for 180 with your Arceus, and then they hit you for 150 again and knock you out. And you just did an even 2-prize exchange, and the Box of Disaster didn't matter. So yeah, I don't like Box of Disaster personally, but it is cute. And sometimes cute cards can win you games. So we do get the Squovet down on the bench here from the player on the right. The really nice alt art one where he is napping on somebody's bed. I don't know why you would allow a squirrel in your house. They do seem a little bit dirty, especially that one. He is always so hungry. We're getting a 3rd Grass Energy. It would have been nicer to see maybe a Psychic this turn onto the Arceus, just because then you know that you have a more even split of the energies left in your deck that you can accelerate to your Giratina. So having all 3 of one color on your Arceus is a little bit sketch. But again, if that's all you're drawing, that's what you have to attach, and that's how you have to go. So we are going to Nest Ball and fail it. An interesting choice. If you had another Bidoof in deck, I definitely would have gone for that for sure. So there must be a Bidoof prized. We're going to discard a Giratina V. Definitely correct. You don't want to bench another one here. You're going to just have to rely on winning the game with the 3 2-prizers that you have currently in play. We're going to evolve our benched Arceus V into the V-Star. Hopefully we have a Giratina V-Star as well. But again, your opponent already has their Giratina V-Star completely built up. So if you do Trinity Nova this turn, all your opponent has to do is retreat their Arceus into the Giratina V-Star, and then use a Boss's Orders to bring up your Giratina V-Star, knock it out, and then what do? Because you would have committed a lot of your energy to that Giratina. So yeah, if this player on the left has an out to Boss's Orders on this upcoming turn, they're definitely going to be favored in this matchup, especially after that whole Path to the Peak shutdown, not being able to get the double turbo energy for the player on the right. So again, just unfortunate draws for both for the player on the right here. We are going to go for that Trinity Nova. We're going to search through our deck. Hopefully there is 3 energies in there. Maybe we can put 1 Grass and 2 Psychics into play. No, just 2 Psychics. This is looking really rough now. And that's what I was saying is a bad thing about having all of the Grass energy on that one Arceus V-Star, is now you don't have the Grass energy to put onto the Giratina V-Star. Whatever ones are left are either in hand or in prizes. Hopefully in hand, so you can still attach the Giratina and do something, but yeah, you're gonna have to draw some pretty hot prize cards here. Your Arceus V-Star is gonna go down as well, so I think if you're this left player, you should feel fine just taking the knockout with your active. I wouldn't want to put your Giratina V-Star in harm's way, especially since you know that their Giratina V-Star is not going to be attacking on this upcoming turn. So just attaching a double turbo to the bench along with that Box of Disaster just to get it out of your hand. Leaving room on the Giratina for maybe a more useful tool if they have that. I do suppose that the Box of Disaster could come into play in this matchup. If you were to put it, yeah, if you're going to force their Giratina V-Star to knock out the Pokemon with the Box of Disaster on it, they're going to take 8 damage counters. And then an Arceus V-Star that has only basic energy on it would be able to come up, hit it for 200, and finish it off. So you would be effectively one-shotting a Giratina V-Star. So maybe I'm not sure how I feel about the double turbo energy going to the Arceus. But it looks like there must just not be enough energies left in deck. Either that or they're trying to play a little bit more conservatively. I mean, it makes sense. The likelihood that the Box of Disasters is even going to go off is very low, especially since that Giratina cannot attack. So here we go, attaching a double turbo energy for the turn to the Arceus V-Star. We're just going to be trading 2 shots here. The Lost City goes into the discard pile, but it's already did its job of, first of all, getting rid of the player on the left's own path to the peak so he could Starbirth for his double turbo. Unlike the player on the right who is not able to do that, but also got that one Arceus V-Star into the Lost Zone in case that matters. Arceus usually doesn't play a lot of recovery options. I'm really liking the idea of playing one Super Rod in Arceus right now, just because not only can it put your Pokemon back in, but it can also put in some energies as well. So looks like the player on the right accidentally double attached here. So already attached the double turbo for energy for a turn, forgot it after they used the Bibarel and Squovet combo. So the judges made sure they put that back into the hand because you can't attach 2 cards from hand for 2 energy cards for the turn. It's also laid out on the stream itself here. It shows that energy light right there. I'm trying to point at it, but it's really hard. There, that energy light that my finger's on. That turns on when they use the energy. The support next to it is when they use a supporter. See how that's not lit up yet because she has not used a supporter. Makes sense. I really like how they track turns as well. Whose turn is who. So takes the knockout, evens up the prizes, but this Giratina V-Star does come out. Is going to Boss's Orders up the other Giratina. Had plenty of time to do that, but is going to go for it now. We do have a double turbo energy on the bench. Attaches another double turbo energy. You can use the double turbo energy as the full cost for the Lost Impact, so you can take that off of the Bibarel, Lost Zone it, and knock out the opponent's active Pokemon. And now, on the next turn, you still have the ability to either Trinity Nova or Lost Impact for the knockout. So if you have another Boss's Orders, they're likely going to be... it looks like they are going to put up the Arceus V-Star. I mean, you have to be attacking in order to win the game, so I think what you do here is maybe try to boss up the Arceus V-Star your opponent has and hit into it while trying to set up yet another Giratina V-Star of your own on the bench, but you've already utilized so many resources here. You really do not have the energy left in deck. Attaches the V-Guard energy for turn to the active, which is a little overkill on the energy department, but is going to make it so it is not going to be able to be one-shot by the Giratina V-Star. Giratina V-Star does 280 with its Lost Impact after Lost Zoning 2 energies that are in play. The Arceus V-Star does have 280 HP, so that's going to reduce by 30. It's going to live on 30. So that is the perfect turn to get that, but even that only buys you 1 turn. How are you going to take 4 prize cards within the next 2 turns? There's really no way to do that with a single Arceus. You could take maybe 2 prize cards, 2-shot this Giratina, or boss knock out both the Bidoof and Bibarel. Those are 2 ways to take 2 prize cards, but the Giratina could always Lost Impact, Lost Zone the energy off of itself. leave you at 30 HP remaining, and then the other Arceus V-Star just comes up and finishes the job, hitting you for 180, doing a little bit of overkill. So we are going to go for a Judge here, trying to disrupt the opponent's hand, but again, they both players do have Bibarel in play, so putting a player at 4 cards in hand doesn't really do too much, especially if they draw into the other Bibarel that's in their deck, because they do have a second Bidoof in play here on the left. I really hope that people who watch these videos know the difference between their left and right, because since I don't know these players' names, because everything's written in Japanese and I only speak and read English, I do call the players the left and right players a lot, so I really hope that you guys watching know your left from your right. So comment down below if you know your left from your right, or if you don't. And maybe we'll, if somebody doesn't, maybe we'll do an educational video on how to tell what the left from the right is. So we do the Trinity Nova. We do get a couple of energy, looks like a grass and a psychic, I want to say, onto this Arceus V on the bench. On this next turn, you're going to have to retreat into it and attack with it as well. That will buy you 1 additional turn, but you're still going to need 1 more attacker setup after that, because that Arceus V-Star will be 2-shotting whatever you have available to you. So looks like we do have a V-Guard of our own in hand on the left here. The other way for this player to win now is to boss for game. So if they have maybe Pal Pad, they could Pal Pad that boss's orders back into the deck, then use Bibarel in order to... Okay, but we're going to go for the switch instead. That could just be to burn a card out of hand so that you could use the Bibarel, but also you could also feel fine just hitting for 180 this turn. I guess 150 after the V-Guard energy. Attaches to the Bibarel just to be able to draw an additional card here. Draws 2. We get an Arceus and a V-Star, and that's not going to really help you out. You could bench it just to try to thin a little bit more, and it looks like we are going to go for the Judge as well. You could have gone for the Iono. You would have put your opponent at the same amount of cards, and whatever they were holding in hand would go to the bottom. I think that maybe you prefer playing the Judge because it shuffle draws for your opponent, and you know they probably just have a dead hand. I don't know. It looks like we did accidentally throw a card, so now we're probably just going to have a Judge shuffle, or we're just going to keep shuffling there. Please do not throw your cards, your opponent's cards around if you are ever at a tournament. It's a little bit rude. Even if it is an accident, it can make a messy game state if you do not know how many cards did get knocked onto the floor. If anything ever gets knocked onto the floor, you should count every single card that you have in play in your discard pile, in your hand, etc., to make sure that you are aware of exactly how many cards fell on the floor, so that you keep the game state as accurate as possible. Because that has happened to both me and opponents before at tournaments. My opponent goes to cut my deck, they knock cards on the floor. My opponent knocks their own cards on the floor. And one time, my opponent did have a hard time. They were like, I'm not sure if that's all the cards. I want to say it was. And then I said, well, let's see. And then I counted their discard pile, I counted their deck, I counted their cards in play, counted their prizes and their hand. And I said, yes, you are still missing 1 card. And we looked on the floor and we found it. So... I think that's actually happened a couple of times, honestly. I think only once at a regional, though. Alright, so what do you do here if you're the player on the right? You need to get iframes. You need to glitch the game in order to get immunity. There needs to be a supporter that says you take no damage next turn. Just play that multiple turns in a row. Just go Surge and then play that card and then play Iono. Surge was like one of the most broken supporters they ever printed. Just allows you to play 2 more supporters that turn. It's a supporter that lets you play 2 more supporters. So you play 3 supporters in a turn. It's ridiculous. So we're going to play the boss's orders. We're going to switch into the other Arceus V-Star and use Squovet to draw 1 card. We're going to attach that energy. That was a pretty good draw, and we're going to draw 5 with the Bibarel. We are looking for the V-Star. I guess we technically don't need the V-Star. We do have more HP if we have the V-Star, but the opponent's not going to be able to knock you out either way. The only downside is, again, you'll be able to take this knockout. You'll go down to 2 prize cards remaining. This Arceus V-Star will hit you. Then you hit it, and then it hits either one of your Arceuses in play, and then they win. So they are still 1 turn ahead of you. That 1 turn with the Path to Peak really made the difference. This player on the right would definitely be able to, would definitely be in the lead because they went first, especially if that Path to the Peak never came into play. So again, it really came down to the fact that the player on the left just had Path. If they didn't have Path that first turn, this player on the right would have much more easily won the game. Again, it is a mirror match. Whoever goes first is very favored in any mirror match. And looks like we are going to go for the boss's orders to bring up the already damaged Arceus V-Star and take those last 2 prizes by hitting it for 150 because of the V-Guard minusing 30 and the double turbo minusing 30. Actually, I don't even know if this Arceus V-Star that he's attacking with has the double turbo. That might actually have a V-Guard of its own on there. It was a little hard to tell. I think it had 1 special energy and 2 basics, but either way, very close Arceus V-Star, Giratina V-Star mirror match. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. And check out the description box below for all the links to the things, and we will see you guys next time, or not. I don't care. I'm not the boss of you.